In today's gaming garbage that I've uploaded to YouTube, it was time for me to fast track my latest relapse, as we aim to finish the series that I started over a year ago. So today, we'll be attempting to beat Halo 4 on Legendary, as a Marine. Now, some of you may be asking, Baps, why is it taking you so long to make this one? And the answer is simple, there wasn't a mod for it. Until now. We're going to be using the Halo 4 Marine Edition created by Marshall the One. The link is in the description. I'd like to take a moment to personally thank Marshall the One for creating this mod, as the mod description reads that they made this just so I could finish this Marine series. Having a mod created so I could finish this series I started is such an overwhelming feeling, and I cannot thank you enough for making this. This mod is played in third person, and with no weapon scopes, not even for the sniper rifles, further adding to the difficulty this mod offers, so committing GBH to my keyboard is almost certain. And if this mod wasn't hard enough, as is tradition for these videos, I also decided to add some skulls to make the gameplay even harder. Along with my body being made up as the same consistency as wet tissue, the skulls we have added are Fog, Thunderstorm, and Tough Luck. I'd like to say now, this skull combination led to many tense and rage-fueled encounters. But despite what remains of my sanity being put on the line once again, I wasn't going to back down from this challenge. Our story begins 4 years after the events of Halo 3, where our ODST from that game was left drifting endlessly in space. After getting woken up by sexy anime waifu, we exit the cryopod and we ask Cortana if she still had the contents of the hard drive, as 4 years ago the folder was empty. Cortana said she did, and felt it was unwise for us to be left alone in the cryopod with the contents that were on there. So Cortana spent the last 4 years alone with the hard drive and we didn't. Great. Upon spawning in, we noticed something different right away. Our ODST armor was gone, replaced with standard Marine armor. Cortana explains that our ODST armor was badly damaged after the events of Halo 3 and needed replacing, so she replaced it with some Marine armor she found lying around. How an AI managed to get us changed is beyond me, but hey, this plot is already thin as it is. Anyway, with the waifu and the hard drive back in our possession, we begin to make our way towards the observation deck to spy on who has attempted to board what remains of our ship. With the observation deck being above us, we decide that the best way to get there was to parkour our way up this elevator shaft. No reason for it other than it looks cool. However, just as we reach the top, we are instantly greeted by an elite, who we instantly introduce to gravity.
Bye, have a great time!
It seems that the Covenant were the ones boarding us, so we did what our little Marine does best, and that was assassinate this elite, and then quickly mop up these little grunt trogs. With the observation deck now secured, we open up the windows only to see that our ship has drifted into an entire Covenant fleet, as they had discovered that this was the ship that Keyes' hard drive was on, and sent the entire fleet to steal it from our Marine. I mean, have they seen the rest of the series? Anyway, as the Covenant began to pour in, the combination of skulls were felt almost immediately. It was here, on the first mission, that I realised I had to check myself into a mental asylum for my sanity's sake, with the amount of bullshit that was already unfolding in this mod. As for the next 15 minutes I struggled against these elites. Why did I put Thunderstorm on? Once my monitor received a good fisting from the number of deaths I racked up in this opening fight, waifu Cortana tells us to go find the ship's missile controls, and wasting no time we took the elevator down, only to get greeted by a plasma grenade thrown at my feet. As we bypass more coveys, we run into my swarm nemesis, the rapid-firing turkey goblins. I didn't even give these guys a chance to fire a shot, as I wasn't going to face an elite and them at the same time this early into the game. Passing our way violently 6 more times, we eventually make it to the space section. And it's a good thing that our Marine has a helmet on, otherwise we were in for a bit of a problem here, even though his suit isn't fully sealed. Anyway, with the laws of space now bending to our Marine's will, we narrowly avoided a shot from a sniper chicken. I'm so glad they were added back into this game. Now, it was this part that the lack of scope started to prove a little bit of a problem, but I doubt that would even help my aim. But eventually we were able to clear out these nerds and activate the missile. But just to our Marine's luck, the missile got jammed and we had to go down and fix it. But like some sick joke, more trogs get dropped off, forcefully making this section drag out longer than it needed to be. And with my ammo not looking good at all, we once again select the scavenger perk and go looting for some ammo. With ammo now in my back pocket, we mop up the rest of these knuckleheads and trigger the launch of the missile, destroying one of the Covenant ships. Just as we watch over our victory, the nearby planet scans us, and because we have the hard drive on our person, the planet begins to open up and pull everything inside. Not wasting any time, we begin to make our way back inside the ship, but not before getting taken out by a Covenant barrier. Honestly, what is it with objects in Halo killing me? With the ship falling apart around us, we come across a hole in the floor. Now, I wasn't sure if our Marine was able to jump across, but we gave it our best shot. And what a surprise, we fell down it. Attempt number 2, we somehow made it across, only to get pulled into space once again, and we end up falling towards the planet. And we end up getting smacked in the face by a piece of the ship. Honestly, what a great start to this story. Anyway, as we crash onto the weird metal planet, Cortana starts to glitch out. Our Marine asks her what is wrong, and it turns out that being exposed to the hard drive for so long has corrupted some of her files. Not just from 4 years alone in space with it, but also her time spent on High Charity with it back in Halo 3. Our Marine comes up with a plan to get off the planet by stealing a Covenant ship, and find the person who made the hard drive and Cortana, Halsey. With this master plan embedded in our forehead, we begin to search the wreck of the ship for something useful, and we come across a Warthog that is somehow still intact. And we use that to drive right into the Covenant, who wasted no time in forcing our little Marine into the floor. Fuck! Returning from the afterlife, we managed to avoid the phantom death shots this time, and used the slowly moving up tactic using the Warthog as cover, which seemed to work until we come across this douchebag of an elite with a concussion rifle, and it unfortunately took a further 3 more deaths before we're able to beat this nerd in battle, only to get shot in the face by a grunt with a fuel rod. After getting my revenge on these little dimwits, we move up forward towards a forerunner structure. That was completely covered in Covenant, and with my only cover being this 2-foot rock, I was basically screwed. But these plebs were no match for my own fuel rod. With my lack of ammo becoming more of a growing concern, it turns out that I didn't need to worry about that for long, as seconds later, I was instantly shot in the face by a sniper chicken. With my body being made up as the same consistency as a wet piece of paper, it took all of my focus not to commit GBH to my computer, as it took a further 15 minutes of slowly advancing forward to make it to the top of the structure, and we come face to face with a sword elite, who I'm not 100% sure ended up unaliving himself, so I didn't get credit for his kill. Bitch. Although I will say, he died somehow floating up in the air and it took me a while to grab his active camo. Moving on. As we enter the structure, Cortana seems to pick up on an incoming signal, but nothing was clear enough to make out, so we just ignored it. Entering the structure, we come across sentinels, but they seem friendly. Either way, I still don't trust them after combat evolved. For now anyway, we move further into the room and we are informed that there is a button to press. And I don't know about you, but I'm always down for pressing a button. As we press the button, it turns out that it activates a local cartographer that tells us that we are on the planet called Requiem. But before we could find out more information, the power went out, and our Marine is now tasked with reactivating 2 nearby generators. Classic. Oh, and also, the Covenant have also found a way inside. Double classic. After dealing with the 2 generators and waves of Covenant with only a few minor deaths involved, we head back and reactivate the cartographer, but not before we discover something. The mod author mentioned you in the mod description? Really? Hang on, am I gonna have to check that out? Oh my god, he actually did! He actually did. I also made this mod specifically so I could see My Baps finish his Marine series. I hope he likes it. Holy shit. Oh my god, that is amazing. Honestly, thank you Marshall the One for making this mod. I really do appreciate it. With the cartographer now activated, our Marine stares at sexy enemy waifu while she tries to narrow down the signal that we heard, but soon discovers that it is coming from the center of the planet. With the route planned out on how to get there, we set off on our new adventure and come across a bridge filled with mass troglodytes and the flying wildlife.
Do you honestly think you're fucking funny?
I found that the best strategy for taking out this hellish place was to jump down and face the Covenant head on, and take advantage of our hardlight shield while moving from cover to cover. Using the shield was honestly the key for moving forward, even if half the time I forgot I even had the damn thing. But eventually we were able to steal this Banshee for ourselves after getting abused by the flying wildlife for over 10 minutes. And as we become the flying wildlife ourselves, we're able to mop up the rest of these trogs and proceed into the next area. Now this section used to give me so many problems while playing this as the Chief, but being a Marine, this was a sure way to rupture my delicate Halo aneurysm. The first real trouble in this area are the turrets and ghosts firing on you almost instantly. Even with those taken care of, the risk of being gunned down by an elite is almost certain, and I came to the conclusion that we needed to be smart about this. Simply running guns blazing would work eventually, but if I wanted to beat this game this year, we needed strategies for these intense moments of the game, or risk being stuck in a constant loop of faceplanting the floor. But don't you worry, my sweet viewers, I had just a plan forming in my noggin, and that plan was to get this ghost's attention. The ghost, like being a magpie, couldn't resist coming closer to me, and with that I was able to steal the ghost, and you'll never guess what. I still died. So I went back to the drawing board, and after dying in this area for some time, I instead went to the right side and stole the sniper goblin's sniper, and we used that to clear out this area. After over 25 minutes of struggling, we finally made it inside to move up to the next level of this nightmare, only to get shanked by this elite pointy thing. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, it took me a long time to eventually fight my way to the top of this structure. I'm not even going to go into detail about the digital abuse that I received while climbing this structure, but let's just say, it was a lot. And when we got to the top, there was a pair of hunters waiting for us. Fantastic. Luckily I was hoarding fuel rods and rockets at this point, so these hunters were met with an explosive end, and we were able to eventually enter this building and ride the elevator up. Arriving at the top, our marine connects Cortana to a nearby terminal in hopes to activate a portal to the center of the planet, but doing so seems to have awoken something, and that something was the Promethean Knights, or as I like to call them, fucking assholes. Cortana manages to open up a portal just in time as our gun had no bullets in it, so we quickly make a run for the portal and we're instantly teleported inside of the planet. Arriving in mission 3, I started to feel unwell. This mission I did not enjoy, as it is just an endless barrage of bullshit thrown our way, and having our marine being so weak a light sneeze would end its quest, I knew we were in for some mental torture here. As we place sexy Halo 4 Cortana into the panel, she begins to tell us that the thing in the middle is a satellite, and we can use that to contact the Infinity if we take out the beams. So she opens up a teleporter and we begin our adventure. As we begin to make our way towards the beam, we get ambushed by a pack of wild robot dogs with guns. And because our aim is complete trash, we manage to be destroyed within the first 20 seconds of this fight. That's gotta be some kind of record for me, right? On the next life we manage to put down the not so good boys, and we end up being jumped on by Iron Man, but our marine just punches him in the face and Iron Man just runs off and calls his friends for backup. Now, fighting the knights in this game is super intense, and with my current situation and hardly any ammo, you knew I was in for a good time here. But I was able to take out the first knight with only 2 bullets left in my assault rifle.
Ooh, that was close.
As we manage to make some progress, we come across more of these knight troglodytes, and my monkey brain comes up with a great 300 IQ idea to try and take him out with a bolt shot. But that ended as well as you'd expect. Many rage-fueled deaths later, we come up to the first spire, and this is crawling with knights and not-so-good boys. And it didn't take long for the first knight to force me back to the last checkpoint without my consent. After fisting my drywall, we were able to take out the first knight douchebag and take out the first glowing ball. 1 down, 2 more to go. Now, I won't lie to you, this area took me over half an hour of dying over and over again to try and get past. Trying to fight these knights as a marine is no joke. They must be the most annoying enemy I've ever faced next to the tree goblins, alongside the Halo Reach Ultras. My human rights got absolutely abused in this area, but after downing my 5th quadruple vodka Red Bull of the hour, I came up with a big brain play of running past everything and hoping to make it to the top of the tower, and after backstabbing this knight, we made a run for it. And to my surprise, this plan did not work. And because I'm possibly insane, I tried the same thing multiple times expecting a different outcome. And to my surprise, on attempt 2 we managed to make it past everything and make it to the top, and we were able to shut down one of the beams. Teleporting back to where we started, we witnessed the Covenant have also decided to join this gangbang that we've been having down here. So not only do I have to worry about knights triggering my aneurysm, but now elites also. Now, it didn't take long for the Covenant to show up and instantly try to ruin my day even more than it was. But for now, these nerds were distracted by the knights and not shooting at me for a change, so I took advantage of that and ran away with my tail between my legs. But I did have to deal with a knight and a turret on the way. Running past all of that, we get to witness an elite getting wrecked out of his ghost, and as I attempt to steal it, this shiny bitch puts me down face first into the ground. With the ghost now acquired, we managed to blast past the fight happening all around us and we come up to the second tower. where this mad lad attempted to try and take us out by coming into the doorway I was hiding in. What are you doing in here? Get out of here! Get out of here! What are you doing? Get out of here, you mad lad. Much like the first tower, I was stuck here for a while. The combination of flying wildlife, ghosts and coveys in this area made me want to flip my desk, as our little marine's body holds together as much as half-ply toilet paper. But after struggling in this part for over 40 minutes and throwing my sock at my monitor, we were able to take out all 3 balls in this area, steal a Banshee for ourselves, and fly away to the top and take out the second beam. All we had to do now was fight our way to the satellite, and oh boy, this part was not fun. Because as soon as we arrive, a bunch of coveys get dropped off in front of us, and with them taken care of, we are given a choice with taking the left path or the right path. And I think that both of these paths are the same with the amount of bullshit we had to deal with, so we took the right path and are instantly greeted by a bunch of Covenant and Fuel Rod elites.
What the fuck is this?
I'm so glad I chose this path, as the elite managed to kick my ass many times over. This section was the kind of thing that made me want to take a bath with my own toaster. I died so many times just trying to fight my way to the top of this place, but after wiping away my tears and having my face forced into the ground more times than once, we eventually made it to the top of this ramp, where all we had to do was make it past 3 nights, a task easier said than done. With these nights now appearing in my nightmares, it took us a further 5 deaths to eventually get past these troglodytes, and we just full send it towards the objective, and we finally, after 2 hours of playing this level, reactivate the communications dish. As our marine begins to attempt to make contact with the Infinity, the giant testicle in front of us begins to move, and all the fighting around us stops. As we take cover, it seems that Voldemort was napping inside, and it turns out that touching this communications dish woke him up. And he wasn't too happy about that, as he begins to monologue to everyone here. But our marine was having none of that, and as soon as Voldemort sees us, he uses the Force to bring us closer to him, and he steals the captain's porn hard drive, along with our wallet, and then throws us away like some used napkin. As our marine wakes up like I do when I'm hungover, we look up to see a slip space portal opening up and everything being pulled towards it. Not wanting anything to do with that, we steal a ghost from a nearby Crash Phantom and we begin the ghost run. Now I thought somehow I would screw this part up, but to my surprise, and maybe yours as well, we managed to do this first try. I honestly thought I would have to attempt this many times, but I guess all those other marine runs I did, maybe I finally learned how to drive in Halo. As our ghost flies through the portal, our marine quickly jumps out before we end up flying off the cliff. And just as our life flashes before us, we witness the Infinity attempt at Captain Key's landing. But as we admire the landing, the giant Pokeball shows up and breaks the sound barrier as it heads towards the Infinity. Realizing that it was heading towards the Infinity with our hard drive, our marine also begins to make her way towards the crash site. As our marine arrives at the Infinity, the Ghoul and the Covenant are already here. Our main focus was to get the hard drive back no matter what, when we get a WhatsApp voice note from Lasky asking us for help, meaning we have to go get lost in the forest in order to find him. With no time to waste, we set off and immediately come across a bunch of knights standing over some fellow marines who were just taking a nap. Anyway, after stealing their weapons and wallets, we move further into the forest, and deal with some more trogs before getting my cheeks slapped by this knight.
Oh god.
It seems if I am to make any progress in this game, I need to keep my IQ above room temperature mayonnaise. But eventually, we were able to claim our victory over this douchebag, even though he kicked my ass 5 times before this. But I'll still take that as a win for me. My high self-esteem didn't last long, as I was instantly disintegrated to the Shadow Realm by this robotic dog. Even in Halo 4, it seems these gremlins had taken lessons from the sniper chickens, and I for one, am not a fan of this. But what I am a fan of is getting my hands on the Promethean vision, so I am able to see these pillocks hiding in the fog below. With the number of robots I am shooting in this forest, I start to feel like I'm fighting in the Clone Wars with all these clankers constantly being thrown my way. But we were able to make awards towards the last Pokemon card that our marine has been collecting while wandering around this forest. But just as we collect our last Pokemon card, we are greeted by wannabe Sergeant Johnson and our discount Spartans, while we have a firm handshake with Lasky. But we are instantly interrupted by a phone call from Captain McDouchebag. Lasky informs him that we need a ride out of this forest, and not even 5 minutes after knowing this guy, he asks our marine for a favour to clear an LZ for him. And because he caught us in a good mood, we agreed to do so. Up next, however, was a level of digital abuse, I never thought a video game could cause me. As for over the next hour, our little marine was getting his Baps buttered during this holdout section, while we defend Cortana as she tries to open up a door. But it seems she's having withdrawal effects from being away from the hard drive for so long, as she was taking her sweet time to open this door. I swear, the amount of torment and distress these knights and crawlers caused me was unimaginable. I was so tempted to call the police on this game because the amount of mental abuse I was receiving. I'm pretty sure I lost several brain cells from bashing my head against the drywall. But after fighting the urge to fist one of my monitors, we were eventually able to hold out long enough for Cortana to open up the door. Thanks, Cortana. I mean, I was only suffering in this part for over an hour, but you know, it's fine. As we make our way through the caves, we witness a knight ordering some grunts about. It seems that the Covenant have teamed up with Mr. No-Nos. I mean, it makes sense if he possesses the hard drive. As we attempt to clear out this LZ, it didn't take me long to get sent into cardiac arrest by my swarm nemesis, the goddamn sniper goblins. Many deaths later, and with the help of a railgun, we managed to clear out this area and get picked up by a pelican that takes us closer to the Infinity. And as soon as we get dropped off, I saw her. The love of my life. The Scorpion tank. She looked as attractive as the day we first met back in Halo 1. Using this 66-ton... Are you serious? Using this 66-ton beast, we blast past any Covenant who were dumb enough to get in our way and clear a path to the Infinity's vehicle lift. But as soon as we enter inside, it took us less than 30 seconds for our tank to explode, with me inside of it.
Aw, dang it!
But these Neanderthals didn't put in much of a fight in round 2. With the area now secured, we get a FaceTime from Captain McDouchebag telling us to use the Mantis to get outside of the ship and reactivate the ship's defences. Sadly, that meant leaving our tank behind. But I know our connection is that strong, I will see her again. But in the meantime, we get to play with this new toy, a Mantis. With our new toy, we break through the lines of all that were in my way, and parts of the ship. But I'm sure they can just buff that out. After stepping on some grunts in the elevator, we make our way back outside, and we rapidly take out 3 jammers blocking our weapons from firing. All was going well, until we get taken out by the flying wildlife. I was one more death away in this mission before committing a war crime against my keyboard. Even though our Mantis was a little worse for wear, we were eventually able to hold back the Covenant forces long enough to reactivate the giant gun. With all the guns now back online, they all focus on the giant Malteser, but it ends up retreating and manages to get away once again with our hard drive.
God damn it!
With the Infinity now secured and able to fly again, our Marine has a meeting with Captain McDouchebag. He begins to tell us that now that the ship can fly, we will be able to attempt to leave the planet. Once we take out the planet's gravity well, that sucked us all in here in the first place. We ask how he managed to find us, and because of the data of the hard drive being uploaded back at the end of Halo 2, it still had Find My Hard Drive tracker on it, and their mission was to get it back. We tell him that the one who shall not be named has the captain's hard drive. He then tells us that we must get it back, and we know from the Cortana's message in Halo 3 what damage this hard drive can do. While flying towards our next objective, the douche in charge video calls us once again to inform us that the gravity well has cannons protecting it, and we are now tasked with taking down those guns before moving on to our main objective. But our main objective is to get the hard drive back no matter the cost. As soon as we land, Discount Johnson tells us that Lasky is on the Mammoth waiting for us, and I will say, this thing is a mammoth. It's almost as big as my... Anyway, we meet Lasky on top of the Mammoth, we chat for a bit before grabbing a jetpack and a sniper rifle. But just as we're enjoying this relaxing ride, we get to witness 3 pelicans get shot down by a giant gun. And the pelican that crashes just happens to have the target locator, so our Marine is required to go get it. Triple classic. But don't you worry, I had the great plan in my head to stay on top of the Mammoth and snipe everything below me to clear a path to the crash site. It's a shame that I didn't even have a chance to execute this plan, as I got shot in the face by a carbine. Realising that sniping wasn't going to get us anywhere because of my lack of ability to aim, we ended up using a Warhawk to get to the target locator, but as soon as I got my hands on the damn thing, I get swatted by a phantom passing by. Many rage-filled attempts later, we finally managed to get hold of the target locator and make it back to the Mammoth without being forcefully pushed into the ground. And once we get back on board, we target the giant gun and the Mammoth takes it out. And with that, we're able to move on with this nightmare of a level. However, just as we continue on our adventure, the Mammoth is forced to stop once again as we come up against a shield wall, being powered by 3 generators. And if I wanted to continue this progress, we'd have to destroy them. Honestly, what is with this game and destroying 3 of something? But against my better judgment, we steal this Marine's Warthog, only to get instantly sent to the afterlife not 30 seconds after stealing it. It was at this moment I knew I needed a new plan of attack if I was to make any sort of progress in this level. And that plan was to park the hog on top of these rocks and try to take out the Wraith and the Ghost that were causing me headaches. After pissing about for a good few minutes on top of the rocks, we eventually able to take out all 3 of these generators with many deaths in between. But we don't get to talk about those. But the Mammoth was able to take out another gun. However, as soon as we did that, this giant floating thing takes out the Mammoth's cannons, and we now have a new goal: to add this thing to our Marine's ever-growing kill list. But if our Marine is able to take out Scarabs and the Flood many times over, then this should be easy.
Damn it!
To be honest, this area wasn't that bad to deal with now that we had the Gauss Hog. But after a few deaths in this area, I ended up parking the hog inside of the Mammoth, and using the side doors to shoot at anything that came near me, and to my surprise that ended up working, and we were able to board this giant thingy twice as I ended up getting myself killed while on board. But with totally not wasting rockets, we were able to bring this thing down and add its name to our Marine's kill list. Back on board the Mammoth, Cortana seems to be having more withdrawal symptoms. I guess all that time being exposed to the hard drive for 4 years and then have it ripped away from you is bound to have some side effects on her mind. But before we could ask her any more questions about the contents within, we are forced to leave the Mammoth and enter Sniper Valley.
Be advised, your teammate got their ass kicked.
And to say that I wasn't going to enjoy this part was an understatement, as this area was filled with so many sniper goblins that made me feel physical pain while I was trying to make my way through this section, and without the ability to zoom in with a sniper, only ramped up the difficulty to almost borderline illegal. However, that was nothing compared to this section. This section was so bad that it led to me having a mental breakdown at my desk. This area was crawling with snipers and knights that I started to feel unwell because of the amount of abuse I was receiving here. And to make things worse, there was no checkpoint. And when I got unalived after almost making it past this part, we were sent right back to the start of this whole encounter. I was struggling. If I wasn't getting sniped in the face, I was getting my cheeks slapped by a knight. I honestly thought that we had hit a wall here, and that we were not able to beat this game or get past this mission. But if I had learned one thing from playing Halo series as a Marine, it's that no matter how many attempts it takes, you can always push through difficult parts of these games. And for the next hour of trial and error, along with the rapid loss of brain cells with the amount of deaths I was racking up here alone, but as soon as this night fell, I was overwhelmed by the feeling of relief. Relief that I no longer had to smash my head against my desk and give concern to my dog. As we make our way inside, we ride an elevator down and come across a panel that would disable the rest of the cannons. But just as we insert Cortana, she ends up being sucked into the system, and we now have to go and hunt her down. While looking for sexy anime waifu, we discover a beam of light, and because our Marine is attracted to shiny things, we step inside the light. However, just as we step inside the light, our Marine ends up having a weird fever dream, as he begins to see visions of Squidward's wife, as she begins to mention that her husband is leaving the planet to find the Composer, a weapon that can upload any data directly into the minds of a living being. With the realization that he plans to use this weapon to upload the contents of the hard drive directly into the minds of everyone on Earth, the severity of the situation was too high. We had to stop him no matter what. So we say our goodbyes to Lady Squidward and return to our body. Wondering what drugs our Marine has taken to have that dream, there was no time to question things as we instantly get attacked by more metal trogs. We grab Cortana and proceed to clear out the room full of numpties and end up riding another elevator that leads us to a portal. Stepping through, we are instantly transported back to the love of my life, the Scorpion tank, and Sergeant Stacker. Using this 66 tons of fun, we are able to blast our way to the top of this area within less than 5 minutes. Considering how the rest of this mission has gone for us, I'd say that's pretty good. As we make it to the top, our Marine is forced to exit the tank and move through some rocks, and we come up to the gravity well. We mark it for destruction, and with a big explosion, we can finally put an end to this mission, as our Marine walks away like some action hero from the explosion. Back on board the Infinity, our Marine begins to explain what the noseless individual is planning. Captain Douche blames us for losing the hard drive in the first place, and plans to leave the planet. But in that moment, Cortana throws a tantrum, as being exposed to the hard drive for so long, she's become somewhat obsessed with it, and needs it back. With the visions that our Marine saw, we know what is at stake. We disobey orders and leave, and make plans to hunt down the hard drive and put a stop to all of this once and for all. Honestly, I have no idea where this story is even going anymore. After a call to my therapist that would probably make my therapist seek therapy themselves, Mission 6 starts off with our Marine staring at Cortana's ass.
Nice ass, bitch.
But luckily, just as she catches us looking, Lasky enters the room and tells us that the Infinity is leaving the planet, but he has prepped a Pelican for us to go after Voldemort and the hard drive, as he knows what is truly at stake. With no time to waste, our Marine hops into the Pelican ready to hunt down the Neanderthal who stole our hard drive. Now I will admit, this part of the game is really cool. Throughout the Halo series, I've always wanted to fly a Pelican, and being able to do so here is just awesome. It's a shame that this section is short, but it's still cool. Oh, and also you could do that in Halo Reach. As we come up to the first tower, we take out some of the Phantoms trying to swat us out the air with our laser cannon. With the airspace now clear, and once I found the descend button for the Pelican, we land the Pelican and make our way inside. With the gondola moving, Cortana explains the plan by using our shields to intercept the signal of these towers. How is it that we're in the 4th game of this series and she still hasn't worked out that I'm not the chief? Maybe she was still hung up on her ex, Master Cheeks. Anyway, it seems that this part tried to rupture that ever-growing Halo-sized tumour growing in my brain, as the game decided to send 3 sniper jackals to ruin my day even more. With the Covenant stopping the Progress Express at this point, we must now fight our way to the override to get this train rolling. Now I would say I did this first try, but... this is indeed... Mother! No! What's an elite doing here? Up here. And it's a... I knew he was there. It may have taken me over 24 minutes to clear out this area of all numpties and press the button without dying. But I'd like to think that's some kind of record for me. Now, the only issue is a few nights in between me and my ride. And you can only guess how that went. I don't really want that either. Oh! Fuck. One reused joke and a further 10 minutes of dying later, our gondola is forced to stop once again. This time, the second platform is covered in knights. What the fuck? Honestly, I'm probably just as shocked as you guys that I was able to clear out the second platform within one life. It seems that the hand of God took over my keyboard for just this section after struggling for so long on the first one, but it didn't take long for this inevitable death to happen. One rage quit later, we were eventually able to make it past the beam and use our non-existent shields to disrupt it. With this area now on my list of sections I hate in Halo, we board the gondola once again back to the entrance of this hellhole, while we have the Didact send us a disturbing voice note.
I'm over here stroking my dick. I got lotion on my dick right now.
Assuming that he must have sent that to the wrong person, we head back to our Pelican and make our way towards the second tower. And with how well the first tower went, I was filled with excitement with what the second tower would bring us. As soon as I stepped into this Japanese water torture of a room, I knew my lack of ammo was going to be an issue, so I instantly made a run for the button, and what do you know? I have to destroy another 3 things in order to progress. Honestly, what is up with Halo 4 and destroying 3 things before moving on? Anyway, with the first of 3 blue balls taken care of, my lack of ammo was starting to become a real concern, to the point that I'm glad I was wearing my brown trousers, as the number of times I shit myself was unreal. And with the number of trogs flooding into this area, was starting to get a little bit unmanageable. But we were able to make it to ball number 2, with only 4 deaths added to the list, and it was just as bad trying to get to the final ball. With all of the blue balls now dealt with, we noped out of there as fast as we could, and instantly got annihilated by this nuke of a weapon. With my blood pressure returned to somewhat normal levels, we eventually able to make it back to our Pelican, and make our way to the 3rd and final tower. As we entered the 3rd tower, I had no idea what to expect here, but I knew this section was going to raise my cortisol to lethal levels. And sometimes, I hate being right, as this section was filled with mass troglodytes and flying wildlife thrown into the mix just to make me want to unplug myself from the Matrix. I honestly lost count how many times we died in this area just trying to make it up to the other side of the platform, but I'm gonna guess the number was in the quadruple digits somewhere. This section honestly made me wish I was back playing the library as a Marine. Okay, maybe not that bad, but this section was still a real headache. In the end, I just became the flying wildlife myself just to try and make it across. But even that didn't have the outcome I was hoping for. So like any other mentally ill gamer, I just kept doing the same thing over and over until it eventually worked. And after almost throwing my crusty socks on my PC, we had finally made it to the end of this hellish level. Our Marine inserts Cortana, and we stand by and watch as she almost traps No-Nose, but ends up having a fit as she can feel that the hard drive is close. But with her losing control, the towers drop, and the giant Malteser is about to leave. So our Marine comes up with a 400 IQ play, and jumps off the side of the tower. And as luck would have it, a Covenant ship was right below us and we managed to land on it. With the giant Malteser evolving into the giant Metapod, we end up leaving the planet and we enter slipspace, only to arrive at yet another giant hula hoop. Cortana informs us that what the Red Skull is after is not the ring, but on the station. So with that information, we board the ship and attempt to contact the people aboard the station, but in that exact moment, Cortana ends up attempting a Captain Keyes landing, but instead ends up crashing us directly into the station. Upon waking up, we have a FaceTime session with the lead scientist at this station. She tells us that the Covenant have taken over the landing bays, and if we could help clear them out so that everyone can escape. And because our Marine is such a good boy, we agree to help. Arriving at one of the hangar bays, we witness the wild jackal take down its prey. But I was too busy getting footage of this moment for my animal documentary that I failed to notice a group of grunts who wasted no time in cancelling our show before it even started. With my dreams of becoming the next David Attenborough now crushed, we waste no time in seeking our revenge against these numpties, only to get made into single-ply toilet paper by this elite, only for the game to add fuel to the fire by giving me a checkpoint right in front of another elite. You can see how this is going to end. Safe to say this elite kicked my ass numerous times, but we were eventually able to come out on top, and we were able to make some progress to the next hangar, where we are tasked with locking down the hangar, but first we have to clear out these pillocks below. Now this hangar wasn't too bad to deal with. I mainly stuck to the Obi-Wan tactic using the DMR to thin out these nerds, and once I was sure that nothing below was moving, we made a run for the button. With the button now buttoned, we must now locate the lean scientist Dr. Tilson. But along the way we get punched in the face by an elite blocking the door.
What? This is bullshit!
After a quick stress pee, we were able to make some progress by climbing these stairs and come up to a room with a pair of hunters dominating the Marines inside. And it didn't take long for me to join them. After a further 6 more deaths, I was able to pull off this absolute MLG level plays against these hunters, while taking advantage of the sticky detonator and the thruster pack. Pulling this off released so much dopamine into my brain that my confidence in being able to beat this game had doubled. With Tilson now found, we explained to her that what they have discovered on the Halo wheel is in fact a giant weapon capable of firing the data of Keyes' hard drive directly into the brains of anyone in its way. She then tells us that the weapon cannot be moved because of its mass size, so we ask her if she has any nukes on the station, and our Marine tells her to get her and her people off the station. Honestly, I'm not sure what a science station is doing with nukes on board, but I stopped questioning this plot back in Halo 2 video. With the plan to nuke the station now ingrained in our brain, we begin to make our way to assist with the evacuation by bringing the station's turrets back online. Along the way, we contribute towards the extinction of jackals, and end up going in circles with an elite in this vent. As we make more progress, we come up to some airlocks that the Covenant have rudely decided to enter to the station from. Now, I would normally press the button and launch them into space, but my digestive biscuit of a body wouldn't last long to do so. So instead, we take the high ground and hope that wasn't enough. Spoiler alert, it wasn't enough. Now, I was stuck in this room for a while, as this stealth elite kept sneaking up behind me, and my short-term memory kept forgetting about him until it was too late. After around 6 minutes of getting my ass kicked, we finally moved on with the mission as we come up to the turret controls. Now, I would like to say, don't get distracted with what happens outside the window and not paying attention to who's in the room with you, as you may get an elite foot implanted in your face. Now knowing that there are elites in this room, we quickly deal with those two knobheads and reactivate the station's turrets. And now we must make our way back to Tilson once again. As we arrive back at the Composer, the Covenant have already found and secured its location. With the stakes now higher than ever, our Marine jumps into a Mantis and starts implying the UK Safety Act to defend the Composer from these porn worshippers. Now, I was expecting to die in this holdout section a lot, but to be honest, I think I only died once. And that was because I wasn't paying attention to my surroundings. Overall, this fight was over within a matter of minutes, as the Mantis in Halo Forge is just a beast, and dominates anything that tries to fight it. But just as we're about to find the nuke, the giant Metapod claims back the Composer. And with that, the Didact can now weaponize the content within the hard drive. We still need to get the nuke now more than ever, if we plan to put a stop to this. But just as we ask Tilson where we can find one, the giant Metapod fires the contents of the hard drive at the station. The sheer amount of content on there was too much for the living brain to handle, and everyone on the station just disintegrates. and our Marine collapses to the floor. As our Marine awakes a few hours later, he is shocked he is still alive. Cortana comes up with the theory that because we have been exposed to the hard drive for so long to fight to protect it, we have become immune to it. While we were napping, Cortana found a nuke and a ship to carry it. There was still time to put a stop to this. With the nuke now loaded onto the ship, we fly after the giant metapod just before it enters slipspace to its final target, Earth. Time was in fact running out. Now we all know that my driving skills in Halo are on point, so you can only imagine my ability to fly this ship in this game. Now I will admit this part of the game was pretty cool, even though I kept crashing the ship into walls.
Game over.
But let's not talk about that. As we come up to the final section for flying the ship, we get a good look at Earth. We had to get inside the metapod and set off the nuke, but first we had to take out the cannon so the Infinity could make a hole in the giant metapod. Oh yeah, the Infinity is back, by the way. Anyway, with all the cannons destroyed, the Infinity fires its laser and makes a hole within the metapod. But just as we fly our ship into the hole, the walls begin to close in around us and crush our ship. With only one plan left, our Marine takes a nuke from the ship and plans to set off the nuke right in front of the Didact's feet, and try to avoid being shot in the arse to set off the nuke early. As we begin to make our way through the ship, we deal with a few turrets before having our first death in this section. These nights honestly made me want to stick a fork in a plug socket, but after wiping away the tears from my eyes and being thrusted into the ground more than once, and just like my local crackhead in town always asking me for money, we kept trying our luck, and we eventually made it through this horror, even though this was the first fight of this mission. Now I don't know what it is about Halo 4, but ammo always became a real problem, and with my distaste for using Promethean weapons, it would appear I had no choice but to rely on the light rifle and the pistol. But no way in hell was I using the suppressor. Honestly, fuck that weapon. Moving slightly forward, we come up to a room filled with teleporters. Using the portals, we come face to face with a bunch of knights, and as luck would have it, Cortana opens up a portal on the other side of the room, past all of the knights. But taking advantage of the Hollow Chief, we managed to fight our way to the next portal, without dying here a single time. But that was about to change after we spent roughly 10 minutes deciding what weapon to take.
What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want?
Going through yet another portal, I was just as shocked as you are to assassinate this fart sniffer. With as luck would have it, it was not paying attention. And we quickly deal with some more not so good boys before making a run for hopefully the last portal. Well, that was going to be the plan, until Megatron here decided to ruin my day by bitch slapping our Marine's ass across the map. After calming my rage back down to 1 after swearing so loud that I was afraid I'd get another noise complaint from next door, but sadly it took me yet another 8 attempts before we finally made it into the portal and moved through this dumpster fire of a level. But things were about to get a whole lot worse as we teleported to one of my favourite things in all of gaming, the holdout section. Now, this holdout section took me a while to do, as I just kept getting overrun by these robotic dogs. But thankfully, no knights showed up during this part, otherwise we were going to have a real problem. And that problem would be my monitor getting a good fisting. Anyway, after suffering and regretting my life choices to play this game, we made it to the portal where we finally found the douchebag who stole our hard drive. However, just as we get launched through the air towards our target, the roof opens up and Earth is about to be targeted by the hard drive data stream. There wasn't much time left. Before we could set off the nuke, we needed to deactivate the virginity shield that Voldemort has set around himself. To do that, we must place Cortana into the Matrix and she sends copies of her split personalities to corrupt the system. Honestly, where is this story going anymore? After all this Marine has been through, fighting the Covenant, stopping the Flood, destroying 2 Halo rings, and killing a Prophet, nothing was going to stand in his way until he sets off that nuke to save Earth. Unless it's a crawler in my way. Many deaths later, we were able to make it to the second port and insert Cortana, and she splits off more of her personalities. Honestly, she has more split personalities than my girlfriend. All we had to do was repeat this step one more time. Arriving at the last platform, we were greeted by our old friends, the Knight. I knew in this moment, this was going to be a lot harder than the last section. And oh boy, I hated being right. This last part took me over an hour. I honestly felt as if my brain was melting out of my ears with how mind-numbing this part was. Just dying over and over to these knights is not a pleasant experience. I was so close to giving up, but I kept on pushing, as I was so close to the end. Our Marine's story was almost over. We just had to get to this panel and set off the nuke. After trying multiple times, and after a pee break, we finally done it. I'd never felt so happy in this moment just to see Cortana split herself off once more time. The Didact fired the data at Earth. The pawn data needed to be destroyed. It was that powerful that Cortana's panel disintegrated right in front of us. We had to put a stop to this. But first, we had to fight our way through the last few nights. With next to no ammo, being so close to the end and yet so far was honestly being worse than being kicked in the nads by a brute. And yet, I think I preferred that than currently doing this level. I died so much here that my lone brain cell became half a brain cell by this point. After all the struggling of playing this game, the fucking suppressor, the weapon that finished it all. I honestly couldn't believe it. The weapon that is complete turbo garbage finished this game for this Marine, and allowed us to jump into the man cannon onto the light bridge above. As our Marine crosses the bridge, the thief himself attempts to stop our little Marine, but as we run for the nuke, he uses the force and starts to monologue once again at us. Wishing we could tell him just to shut up and get on with it, sexy enemy waifu comes to save the day with her multiple personalities as she holds the Didact down. With all of our Marine's strength, he pulls himself back up onto the bridge, charges at him and plants a Rubik's Cube into his chest and it explodes. Throwing the Didact into the hard drive data stream, the Didact has now become one with the hard drive. It was now time to destroy the hard drive and end this once and for all. Our Marine grabs the nuke and detonates it. Thinking he might be dead, our Marine realizes that he is alive, just trapped in a blue box, and he turns to see Cortana walking towards him. She says that he did it. He destroyed the giant metapod and the hard drive, saving Earth, and she was able to save him just moments before the detonation. She tells a Marine that she won't be coming with him, as she was destroyed, and that this was her last moments with him. She puts her hand on his chest and says our Marine's name.
John, I've waited so long to do that.
Sam.
What?
My name is Sam. I have no idea where you got John from, and to be honest, I'm amazed after this long you never asked for my name.
Oh, well, goodbye then.
Bitch. Playing this mod took me just over 15 hours to complete on Legendary. It didn't take me nearly as long as the others, but even though this mod had its challenges, it was the fastest and I'd say the easiest out of all of them so far. But it was still a lot of fun and great way to replay Halo 4. A massive shout out to Marshall the One for creating this amazing mod. The Marine being in the cutscenes was so cool and made it feel like a whole new game. And I'd also like to thank you for making this so we could finish the fight and this Marine story. You, my friend, are a true legend. Now before we end this video, I'd like to say a massive thank you to our channel members for their continued support. If you'd like to become a member, you can click that join button on my channel page. It's entirely up to you if you do or not, it's completely optional. Now, with Halo 4 as a Marine complete, comes an end to the Marine series. I really hope that you've enjoyed this adventure that I started over a year ago. I honestly never in my life thought a dumb video of me playing Halo as a Marine and talking about a porn hard drive would turn into nearly 14k subs. Thank you to every single one of you for watching and subbing. It truly means the world to me. But now I can finally rest and not worry about making another Marine campaign ever again. Oh, son of a bitch.